Wait,
Oh, yeah.
Vince, how's my sound? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just found out my microphone wasn't plugged in this entire time.
Stop it. Welcome to episode 13 of Burdzzzz Boys. We are almost fully through week 4 in the NFL. Sunday is over. The Dallas Cowboys lose again, and your first place Philadelphia Eagles win their first game of the season. Really looking forward to this show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Later, you will get our awesome interview that we just did with Harry Mays. Aidan, that was exactly what I thought an interview with Harry Mays and us was going to be.
We were cutting up the whole time. This was the perfect day to do it with him. Like this was after that win, and also we sprinkle in a little Temple stuff. So this was the perfect time.
Yeah, it was great. Perfect. KMess with you here, as always, joined with the Bird and the Happy Bird for the first time this season, Aidan Powers. There's no drinking ammonia today, but we have a packed show, like we said. So we're going to go around the NFL a little bit here, and then we're going to go Burdzzzz Boys, and then we'll get you the interview with Harry Mays. So, Aidan, you want to go around the NFL here? We had some fun games yesterday.
Yeah. I know which one was most fun, but sure. I'll give other people time.
So if producer Vince could put up the clock for those of you who are only listening either on Spotify or Apple or Google, we also throw this show up on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces. We don't have faces for radio. We have faces for everything. So make sure to check out our YouTube channel as well. Producer Vince puts up a 60-second clock, and we are going to try to go around the NFL with the scores in 60 seconds. We haven't done it yet. So let's try and do it today. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. The Lions go up 14-0, but the Saints score 5 straight touchdowns and win 35-29.
Tommy touchdown is back. Tom Brady throws 5 touchdowns. Bucks win 38-31 over the Chargers.
Winning is fun. Joe Burrow gets his first NFL win. Bengals 33, Jags 25.
Russell Wilson, there's a reason why we just put his name alone in the standings. Seahawks 31, Dolphins 23, 2 a time.
The Vikings kill me again, and this time by winning when I bet against them. Bye-bye Butchin, Bill O'Brien. He is fired after this loss. Vikings win 31-23 over the Texans.
Matt Rule might be a good NFL coach. Panthers 31, Cardinals 21.
The Ravens with a big bounce-back win against the football team, 31-17.
Most boring game of the week, Rams 17, Giants 9. I'm not even going to give them a joke.
The Bills are for real, 30-23 over your Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, if it isn't starter Nick Foles not getting the job done, who would have thought? Colts 19, Bears 11.
That was cool. That might have been our quickest one yet.
Well, we know why it's the quickest one. So we are recording this on Monday night, the day after our games, and there's about 16 games going on while we're recording because some of them got postponed. We got Monday Night Football, and we have other Monday Night Football because of coronavirus. So it's that's kind of why.
My wife said, goodbye. I will see you on Friday as I walked down into our basement with recording tonight, interviewing Harry. Tomorrow we got another big interview. We got football. We got baseball on. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm great. I'm phenomenal.
You know who's not phenomenal? Bill O'Brien or Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, Bill O'Brien, writing was on the wall since the DeAndre Hopkins thing. That was the last nail in the coffin for me and probably for many people. And then as we were recording, the Patriots are playing because of the Cam Newton thing, which is scary. Who knows if they should have just delayed it one day. But yeah, so here we are. And yeah.
But like we said, we have a packed show to get into, and the name of the show is Burdzzzz Boys. So
yes,
I think that was enough around the NFL today. You seem like you're chomping at the bit. You're excited. Who's going first? Usually it's me.
Hold on. If you're in first place, you go first. That's how.
Yeah, but usually we go whatever game played first, and the Cowboys played at 1:00. You played the night game.
Hold on, just before we get into the analysis. So usually we drink as a ritual when both of our teams lose. So, yep. Feel free to drink up. You can do that. Give them the sound.
I got the whole. I'm not. That was as weak as the Cowboys defense. I'm not even getting a glass today. I'm drinking bullet bourbon straight out of the bottle.
And you can do that. You can do that because you lost. But I have a little bit something different because I am a winner who's in first place.
Awkward silence. This fucking guy.
When you are in first place, you smoke victory cigars. You wouldn't know about it, but I do. So this is how I'm doing my podcast tonight because we are in first place. We are back.
I think after this, I'm gonna have to just let you go first. Look at this. Have you ever smoked a cigar before? It looks like you're just like sucking on a teat.
Well, yeah, I have. But hey, when you're in first place, smoke the cigar however you want to, but you're not. So I get to do this however I want to do it.
Well, then do it. Talk, bitch.
Okay. What a game. What a game.
What a boring game.
No, it was not. It was very entertaining. Came down to the last second, or a lot worse games.
You're actually very lucky CJ Beathard didn't start that game or you get blown out.
Yeah, that was wild. He came in and didn't throw an incompletion until I think that Hail Mary was his second incompletion. Mm-hmm. So that got wild in a hurry. But before that, for about 58 minutes of game time, I thought they played very well, and I was very happy, and I'm over the moon with that performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think I predicted it last week right here on Birds vs. Boys that the Eagles were going to go to San Francisco and win. You thought it was just a jinx tactic, but to me, those games right there, I've seen it 1,000 times. Obviously, I watch the Cowboys more than any team in the league, and the second team I watch the most are the Philadelphia Eagles. 1, because I hate them. 2, because I'm married to an Eagles fan. And 3, because, well, they're in my market. So I've seen this game so many times before that it just there was no way I wasn't thinking that the Eagles were going to win. And then the goddamn pregame show did what the pregame show should never fucking do, and every single one of them picked the Niners. And I turned to my wife and I said, well, Eagles, we don't even need to watch because the Eagles won the game.
Yes, before when I saw that, I tried to grab a picture really quick. I was like, damn, I missed it. And I was like, I know that is going to be the perfect screen grab when we win this game. Yep. You are correct that every single time, everybody picks the one team, the other team wins. Every single time. Brilliant. So, and we won. Here's why Eagles fans should be excited. Thank you. We're in first place. That's why I have my cigar. Why Eagles fans should be excited after that. I know we're 1-2-1, and this is, I'm half joking. Who did the Eagles invest the most in? The defensive line, Darius Slay, and Carson Wentz. The defensive line had 8 sacks last week. They probably played better last night. Darius Slay has been as good as advertised this entire season. And speaking of the season, Carson Wentz saved it last night. So everybody you expected to be good going into the season played extremely well and is playing better than they were to start the season. They are trending upwards in all of the positions that you have invested in.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what what did I say earlier in the season? Our episode where we were just yelling, be the team you promised me you'd be. Well, the Eagles were the team that they sort of promised you they would be this year last night.
Exactly.
And with you catching touchdown passes, basically.
Yes, I would like to get into that because the kid from Old Dominion, I was laughing. And my girlfriend was like, why are you laughing? And I was like, because I don't even know who. I follow this team religiously. I don't know who this person is. I was like, I don't know who 13 is. And that was in the first quarter. And then he comes up and has the big touchdown catch. I love it. And we'll get into it with Harry. But we pretty much said, who cares where you were drafted? Put the people on the field who are going to produce. Yes. So he can keep playing. Greg Ward can keep playing. And John Hightower played pretty well too. So as long as they're producing, I don't care. I really don't. I will take the guys who are producing. I don't care their age, their experience. I just don't.
I mean, yeah, it's not like you're tied to JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I mean, if he's not producing, don't put him on the goddamn field. Yeah, exactly. Who on earth caught that? I caught that tweet from producer Vince during the game, and yeah, my wife was like, "Oh my god, Aguilar caught the ball," and I was like, "Honey, Aguilar plays for the Las Vegas Raiders." She's like, "Then who is that?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
He's long gone. And good riddance, because we have new people. So that gets into my other point with speaking of new people. Jeff Mosher brings this point up a bit, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but he says all the time, you have these young guys, you've drafted them. At some point, you need to know what they
Yeah,
are. So
exactly.
last night they started Jordan Mailata out of necessity, and they
Mhm.
started Kayvon Wallace. I would like to see that going forward. I want to see these guys who they've drafted, and at some point, like I know Milana's a project, but at some point
You
you
got to
need
see if
to
the
know.
project works.
I was about to say exactly like for the science project. Eventually, there's going to be a science fair, and you have to show off what you've been doing. So that
Does the volcano?
exactly right.
Like,
Is it going to erupt? Is that volcano going to erupt? And last night, it really did. Milata played well. He played really well, especially for his first start. And he's a massive human being. But like Kayvon Wallace playing, that's what I want to see.
mhm.
You invested in these guys. Let them play. We've seen Jason Peters play. Like we know what it is. And even like Jannard Avery, who we traded a 4th-round pick for, he's still young. Like you have to know.
Yep.
Josh Sweat continues to play well. You have to know. This is a critical offseason in terms of salary cap. If these guys can produce for you, that saves you. So it's good to see that. And I hope that is the trend going forward as guys get healthy. I want young players who are producing, and we need to figure out if they're going to produce for us in the long term, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, and that's when you have young guys making no money that are producing, you win. That's a double win. And I was joking, I think, with AJ about Jalen Smith being the worst linebacker in the league, and he's like, "No, it's Gary. He's worse." I go, "He's not worse because he only makes 600K a year, not 20 million like Jalen Smith. 12 million, excuse me."
Yeah, and him and TJ Edwards, we pay them next to nothing. And then TJ Edwards, he makes 2 plays in a row in classic Eagles fashion. He did something good, which means he's going to get hurt. He immediately hurt his hamstring, and then his backup gets the pick 6. You couldn't have written like a better like Eagles. Like you mentioned, the Eagles win that game because they just have WTF wins sometimes. Where you're like, you couldn't script a better Eagles win where some guy from Old Dominion off the practice squad catches the game-winning touchdown, a pick 6 by the backup linebacker. It was so Eagers. Richard Rodgers was one of the leading receivers.
Yeah,
What a game! What
I
a
mean,
time! What a
he
time
had
to be alive!
he had 3 catches in a row. And I think it was that 3rd and 1 too, where it was going to be a Wentz sneak, and he came out and Rodgers just caught it low and got the. It was yeah. I mean, if they can start getting production out of guys like him with Goddard down, I mean that we saw last year how Wentz can kind of get acclimated with nobodies quickly, and we saw what he did last night. And everybody's like, well, they don't have any rapport. Well, you kind of you don't know that because they're practicing together. So I don't know.
I'm glad you brought it up because I'd like to touch on Wentz for
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned it. It seems like when they're at the lowest of the low, at the bottom of the barrel of talent is when he steps up. And it was so funny. So I was watching this video yesterday afternoon because Trump did his thing, not to get political, but so Trump does his thing where he goes around the block and waves at everybody. And C-SPAN had this audio of this guy going, "That's my president. That guy's a hero. I would die for that man." And I was like, what a weirdo. Like, who worships another human being like this? And then Wentz drops that dime at the end of the game for the game-winning touchdown. I'm like, that's my quarterback. What a hero. I would die for that man.
Look at you. And you immediately came right in.
Yeah.
I have no heroes. I'm watching as we're talking. We said this is Monday night, so we're watching the Chiefs Patriots game as well. And I see Taco Charlton have a strip sack, former Dallas Cowboys 1st-round pick who's no longer on the team. Awesome.
Drink up, buddy. Do you want to get into your Dallas Cowboys in the day that was?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll do it. They gave up 49 points. This
right, well-
defense is terrible. It is Big 12 football and a 90,000 seat stadium.
Producer Vince, I want you to mark the tape, bring it back. What did I say last week? What did I tell you, Aidan?
I want to give you credit. I want to lay it down right now. So let's ding it off. You said the offensive line, you've been preaching this. It's not 2016 anymore. Myles Garrett will eat.
Second play of the game.
A sack, multiple sacks. You have been critical of the secondary, especially the safety position. First touchdown of the game, Odell Beckham over the top, correct?
On Darian Thompson.
Yep. Who's your least favorite guy? And then Austin Hooper. You said Austin Hooper would be a tough mismatch. He caught a touchdown.
And I also said that who ran all over the Dallas Cowboys the year before? It was the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin Stefanski was their offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Browns. And I knew with Chubb and Hunt, they were going to run all over the Cowboys. Well, it turns out they didn't even need Chubb. They had Hunt and some other guys who I've never heard of, and they ran for 307 yards.
That was
307 rush yards.
Some of the holes that they were opening up, and let's get into the clowns because it's going to be the same clown car as it was the week before.
It's changed a little bit. I'm gonna get into that in a little bit.
Well, yeah. Let's touch on some because I'm still confident in the Cowboys because I think they're just going to be in a shootout every week and they can just win a lot of shootouts. Like I don't think every team will be able to run for 300 yards.
Yeah,
but the holes that the Browns were opening up had to be like really. That was really glaring to me. Like that was bad.
All right. So I'm going to get into it.
All right.
I'm not even mad. I'm not upset because like I said, I saw this coming. Like I had the Browns marked down as an L weeks ago. I said it right here on this podcast. I said it on Brandon Sports Radio on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio every Saturday, 11 to 12. That the Browns plus 4.5 was easy money. And early in the week, it was Browns plus 6. If you got it there, congratulations. But this defense for the Dallas Cowboys just isn't good. Actually, it's atrocious. They're terrible. The minute they tried to sell us that Darian Thompson was the starting safety, I knew this D was completely trash. And yes, he gave up the bomb to Odell Beckham. And what happened the next play? Benched for Donovan Wilson. Gone. See you, 23. Stink. This D-line, right? We said coming into the season, I was really excited about the D-line. They brought in Everson Griffin, Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, but he got hurt. The D-line is just old and washed up. Dontari Poe, I think he's done. I mean, he's not making any plays. He's lost 10 steps. Everson Griffin just doesn't have it anymore. Tristan Hill, Clown Hill, as you put him in. He's the one that seems to be flashing the most. He keeps making plays in the backfield here and there. However, Tristan Hill was graded out by Pro Football Focus today as the worst defensive tackle in the league.
I don't read in the Pro Football Focus.
Either
too
do
much,
I.
But if you come in last, you can't be doing very well, no matter what the metric system is.
Yet he looks like the best D tackle on the team.
That's really saying something.
You know what else is saying something? Staying on the Pro Football Focus here. Xavier Woods, the safety, who I don't think I've heard his name called once this season. Maybe that's a good thing because he's not getting burned all the time, but he's not making plays. He was graded out as the highest Dallas Cowboys defender on Sunday. His grade was a 59.
Well, man,
it was like a bad starter gets like a 70. He got a 59, and he was the highest graded defensive player on the Dallas Cowboys.
If you're a coach, do you watch the tape, or are you just like, that was so bad, let's just focus and keep on going?
I mean, I feel like you have to, but I don't even know if Mike Nolan watches tape. I mean, I'm going to get into that too. Mike Nolan has no business being a defensive coordinator. Nothing nothing said, yes, he should be the DC, right? The last time he was a DC, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago with Atlanta for 3 years, they finished like 24th, 27th, and 28th in the league in defense. You know
So
why he was
nothing has
hired?
changed with Atlanta.
You know why he was hired?
I probably Jerry Jones, and they go way back.
No. He hired Mike McCarthy, McCarthy's first job out with the 49ers.
Good to see that even in football, just like life, it's just all about who you know.
It's all it is.
That's how you get a job.
There has to be a point. Like, I know McCarthy and him are boys, but like Jerry and Steven need to be like, listen, I mean, we'll take the blame here, but your boys got to go. And I can't wait until our Thursday episode where we're going to have Jeff Kavanaugh on from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, one of my favorite Cowboys media guys, to talk all about this defense. I have a lot of good questions for him about how to fix this D-line, and he's going to have answers to none of them because the team just stinks.
I have 2 points, and then I'll let you say your final words on the Cowboys, and one of them is the defensive line. So I think the issue, just me watching the Cowboys as an outsider, that trick play, Baker Mayfield is blocking Everson Griffin, and it's half effort, half football IQ, where you're like, okay, this is clearly a trick play. Everyone knows it's a trick play. You can see it developing. A quarterback is blocking you, and you're not making the effort to blow that guy. Like, how often in the NFL do you get a free shot at a quarterback? He's blocking you. You have a size advantage. Run him over.
Blow him up.
Him up. And it's like he's just standing there. It's almost like he's mirroring Baker. And it's like, how does that happen? And that's half effort, and that's just half bad football IQ. And I think that defense has both. But my last point is, I still submit this week after week. I know that was a bad loss, but I just think they're going to come out on the right side of a lot of blowouts. Like, they went up to Seattle and lost to Russell Wilson. Yeah, so is everyone else. I think they'll be okay. The defense will not. They're just going to have to win 38-35 every week, but I feel like they'll do it enough to survive. Like, the offense is good enough to do it.
So I'm going to touch on that, and then I'm going to say one thing about the Clown Crew, and then we'll move on to Harry. But yes, I agree. I mean, Dak threw for 502. Threw for 475 the week before. These receivers are legit. However, Zeke has not, the last 3 weeks, has not helped this team at all. The week before in Seattle, he dropped about 6 screen passes. Yesterday, Sunday, he had finally his longest run of the season. And there's about 6 Browns guys around you, and no Cowboys, and you're going to the ground. You know they're going to try and rip the ball out. You got to cover the ball and just go down. Why are you trying to get 2 more yards by rolling? The only way the Cowboys are going to win these shootouts, like you say, is if they stop turning the ball over. They had 2 again yesterday, the Zeke fumble and then the Dak strip sack. I'm not putting that on Dak. He was throwing the ball. The O-line just didn't give him the time because, well, the O-line stinks. Not all of the O-line, most of the O-line. I think we found our new center of the future in Biotish. But if they're going to win these shootouts, they have to stop turning the ball. Now,
totally agree that ball security with Zeke has been questionable, and I don't get why. He's just such a ferocious runner for him to be constantly having this issue. I don't get it, but it goes back to like football IQ and effort. So we'll see. Now, I hear we're making the clown car is getting bigger today. Is that the case?
It's getting bigger and it's shifting. So I'm adding Clown Nolan, the defensive coordinator, the first coach to be inducted.
Congratulations on first coach in the clown car.
First coach in the clown crew. He like I said, he doesn't deserve to be the DC. He needs to go. So Clown Nolan. I'm also going to add, I don't know if we fully inducted Clown Worley last week or not. I know I mentioned him, but this also goes to Clown Nolan, but like, who thought it was a good idea to just put Clown Worley one-on-one with Odell Beckham running down the sideline? Like, that's not going to work out well for you anytime. And there was another time where the running back was running up the middle and Clown Worley like just turned around and sprinted to the goal line. And the running back's like, okay, well, if you're not going to, I'll just keep running here if you're not going to come tackle me. It was just unbelievable. But I've been saying that Clown Lawrence is the leader of the clown crew. He's the clown captain. I am relinquishing his clown captaincy.
Oh, wow.
1, because he's been playing hurt. 2, because after the game yesterday, he came out and called this defense soft and said they play soft, they are soft, and he called them all out, which I appreciate.
No, why? I just pointed out that the softest play I saw in that game was him.
No. You were saying Everson Griffin was the soft.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying DeMarcus, Clown Lawrence. Fair. But yes, I agree on that.
Go ahead.
So I am taking his clown captaincy, and I am giving it to Clown Smith. Jalen Smith is now the leader of the clown. He's the captain clown. Ooh. And I hate this because I loved Jalen Smith at Notre Dame. He was a hell of a player at Notre Dame, heck of a leader. But Jalen, clown, you're not that player anymore. You'll never be that player anymore. He's a robot out there. He can't turn. He's guessing. You can see that he's guessing. And he tries to just overplay things. He'll make, a stop on a player. You're down 38-14, and he's doing his swipe thing. And all he cares about is selling sunglasses and pumping his cryotherapy company. But I am really fully adding him because he made the dumbest play of the entire season for the Dallas Cowboys on defense. And that's pretty hard to do because this defense is just dumb. The Cowboys were up 14-7. The Browns were on the ropes, and it was 3rd and 13. Joe Thomas, who's actually been playing well as the backup linebacker starting for Leighton Vander Esch, and I hope when Leighton Vander Esch comes back, the coaching staff plays the best linebackers and sits 54 on the goddamn bench. But Joe Thomas makes the tackle, makes the stop. It's going to be 4th and 13. Browns are punting away. Cowboys now have the lead at 14-7, and they're getting the ball back. You could start to rout the Browns here. But Jalen decides to jump in the pile, grab himself some face mask for no fucking reason, and get a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. The Browns go down, tie the game. Cowboys get the ball. Zeke fumbles. They score. Cowboys get the ball again. Dak fumbles. Back-to-back plays, and that's just what started the spiral. So congratulations, Clown Smith. You are now the captain of the clown crew.
Congratulations. Hooray. Hey, you did it.
So the Cowboys stink defensively.
First place. So now that we've said all that, let's get into our interview with Harry, because I had so much fun interviewing him. I thought we touched on a lot of the topics with the Eagles and the Cowboys, but he and I agreed on a lot of stuff with the Eagles, especially Carson Wentz. And we really touch on more than just Eagles and Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little bit different than us going back and forth, and it's refreshing because we've been complaining about our teams for the past few weeks. This interview with Harry was great because we touched on every single sport imaginable, so many different players, so many different aspects. Like I said, Eagles, Cowboys, we got into hockey, golf, we talked Temple football. So before we do, let's talk about Bovada. We've been harping on it. We had another great weekend gambling here at Branded Sports. So if you just take our picks and put it into Bovada, you automatically make money. It's just a no-brainer. So we'll put the promo link everywhere that we promote this podcast: Apple Podcasts, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you can think. So bet with Bovada. And now we'll go to our interview with Harry Mays.
Can't wait.
All right, we are super excited now to be joined by somebody that's been on the Brandon Sports train since the beginning, and we appreciate it more than anything. The one and only Harry Mays. You can find him at Harry Mays TU on Twitter. Everybody knows I'm no Eagles fan, but I will listen to Harry talk birds all day. Probably the only person in the city I'll listen to that. So, Harry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Aidan, great to be with you guys.
Exciting to be here. It's great to have you after the first win of the season.
How about that? First place.
First win. You know, we've had guests on in the past, and it's been like a very low morale show where it's doomsday every time we record. So having you on after a win and after a nationally televised win is fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, for me, it doesn't do so much for me, but I think it does something for the quarterback. and the head coach, who was coming under some fire. I mean, to me, this quarterback, took this team in the final couple of weeks of last season into the playoffs for what it was worth, with a ragamuffin group of wide receivers and quote unquote weapons. And I think they were, weapons is you're really gilding the lily calling that crew weapons, but they got him in there. And it showed a lot to me. And then he got off to a really bad start, and part of it was on his own. He poor mechanics. He was making some bad decisions. He was holding on to the ball way too long, things like that. It was a lot on him. But to see him get that win last night on the road against what I think is a pretty good football team. I mean, they're not what they were when they were in the Super Bowl due to injuries, but they're still a really good football team and a really well-coached football team. To see them come away with that win and finally get something from their defense as far as a turnover. And not only did they get a turnover, they got a turnover and a score out of it, which they needed. And of course, Carson, threw the touchdown pass to a guy from Old Dominion. Old freaking Dominion. Okay, that's not Alabama. Okay, it's unbelievable. I didn't even know this kid was on the roster.
I was watching it with my wife, and she goes, "Aguilar caught the ball." I go,
"Yeah, right."
Honey, I was like, "Aguilar's not there anymore."
Aguilar's with the Raiders. Exactly. But he wears number 13, and he made a play, and good for him. So it really, you look at the guys who were hurt last night. I mean, all the wide receivers, the offensive line was a mess. Lane Johnson was in and out of the football game. They had Jordan Mailata making his first start and actually had a really good game outside of one penalty. I believe he had an illegal procedure or something, a motion or whatever it was. But he played a really good sound football game. So there's a lot of upside to this when you look at it from a Carson Wentz and a Doug Peterson perspective.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Carson, because I saw your tweet last night where you kind of congratulated Jimmy Butler and Carson for rising above the adversity. And what's become clear this NBA season is that Jimmy Butler was really just like a product of a bad environment. And now he's in a good one, so he's thriving. So do you think like Carson is right now struggling because he's a product of a bad environment? Or do you think he just kind of needs to elevate his play and everybody will come up with him, kind of like he did last night, even though, like you said, they were with the ragamuffin group again?
Well, he needs to elevate his play, but he also needs some other guys to step up and make plays for him. And right now he doesn't have really a lot of that on the offensive end. I mean, Goddard is down. Miles Sanders really hasn't been what he was last season yet this year. And they rely heavily on him now that they got rid of basically, a couple of the other running backs. Zach Ertz, everybody knows that Carson Wentz looks to Zach Ertz when he needs to make a play, when they need a third down catch, 3rd and 8, he's going to go to Zach Ertz first. So that's pretty much, self-explanatory. If you're on defense, you're like, we got to take him out of this play. And let's see if he can make a play with Ward or the guy from ODU or whoever the hell else is, on the field. I mean, the kid from Boise State that they drafted who's gotten some run this year. He's got to have some other guys step up for him. And last night he had the kid from the practice squad, and he had the defense make a play, and he needed both of those. So it's kind of both. He needs to step up, but he also needs other guys to really rise up for him.
I did see. I mean, I think Richard Rodgers a little bit too last night. Didn't he have three completions in a row to him? I think to move the chains down the field. So. Little things like that, as a Cowboys fan, seeing stuff like that start to scare me. Against that defense.
Your team stinks. That defense is horrendous.
It could be the worst in NFL history.
How did it get so bad? I got to ask you that. I'm going to interview you. How did it get so bad?
Well, first they started Darian Thompson at safety.
Okay.
Aidan and I were saying preseason, like they brought in Clinton Dix. I was a little excited, some veteran leadership back there. They haven't had a veteran leader back there since Roy Williams until he was put in a grave by Shockey. But then he doesn't even make the team. So they have Darian Thompson back there. And then it's this defensive line that they were so high on, right? They brought in guys like Everson Griffin, Don Terry Poe, Gerald McCoy, unfortunately got hurt. And then you got Tristan Hill, their 2nd-round pick last year, and then DeMarcus Lawrence, and none of them are performing.
Yet DeMarcus Lawrence hasn't done squat.
Nothing. And Everson Griffin, we had this stat last week on here. You'll enjoy this. They do the pass rush evaluation and what their percent win rate is on a pass rush if they beat the man in front of them within 3 seconds. TJ Watt's at like 50% of the time, the higher end of the guys. Going into Sunday's ball game with the Browns, Everson Griffin was at 0%. He hadn't won once.
Wow.
And then you got Jalen Smith, who is a robot with his head cut off, and he can't make a turn. So basically, they all suck. And you put Darryl Worley 1-on-1 with Odell Beckham.
Right. And I they're down Van Der Esch. I get that. But
Rouzier.
They can't really complain too much about injuries.
No, they just stink. I mean, Rouzier coming back, he's not an all-pro.
Right.
So they suck. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's the concern. That is their defense. There's no reinforcements behind them.
No.
For the Eagles, though, speaking of reinforcements, so like last night, by accounts of people who are smarter than me, Jordan Mailata played well.
Yeah.
And they started Kayvon Wallace. So they have some reinforcements in these young guys. Do you think they should just go forward with these young guys and say, look, we got to figure out what we got? Or do you think bring back the veterans because they might give you a better edge? And I think the perfect position might be JP versus Mailata, but there's multiple positions you can make this case for young guy versus veteran.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying to kick Jason or Peters to the curb. I think they're been whistling past the graveyard, as I like to say, with Jason Peters for the last couple years. And to get him to play 16 games in a season, when was the last time he did that? As far as I remember him coming in and out of games many times in the last couple of years, where he'd leave for a series here, a series there, and then all of a sudden he's back in the game, and then he's gone again. So he's a warrior. He's trying to gut it out, and I appreciate that. But at some point, Father Time always wins. And, to me, the Mailata thing was really a great thing to see for them going forward, because he was a no-risk guy. They picked him out of the Australian Football League or so, Australian rugby, whatever.
Rugby guy, yeah.
And, this was one of these things where if it hits at some point, Howie's going to look like a freaking genius.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, nobody's going to remember. It's like one of those stupid bets you make, in a golf tournament where you take some guy that's 250 to 1 to win the tournament, and you're like, I'll throw $100 on him. All of a sudden, Stuart Sink comes through and wins the Safeway a couple of weeks ago at 200 to 1, and you're like, I'm a genius. And if he didn't win, you're like, well, nobody expected him to win anyway. Did he make the cut? Oh yeah, he did. Oh well, good job out of you. Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 7th round pick.
Well, all right. So you seem to be happy in praising Carson, the receivers,
and
Jimmy Butler. But after this first win of the season, how can you not love Jimmy Butler? What are you sipping on too? I got a little Woodford.
I put Tito's, and then a little bit of spring water, and then a dash of Diet Coke.
Boom.
Yeah.
And it looks a little clear too, which is a good thing. You can never be too brown if it's a Diet Coke, or not too red if it's cran. It's kind of
not that see-through water. Let me tell you that.
Exactly. But so after the first win of the season Sunday night, what other position group are you most, I guess you could say, excited for after that game?
Excited for? Wow.
If any.
That's a good one. Maybe the offensive line with the whole Mailata thing, because I think the Jason Peters injury situation is not going away. It's not going to get any better. Lane Johnson, seems to have some nagging issues here or there. So this tackle, the tackle situation is very tenuous at best. So I will feel pretty good about that if he can. Now people are going to get film on him, and they're going to try to find ways to break him down, and they're going to get maybe better defensive line players coming up against him, that he's going to have some issues. I'm not saying this is going to be smooth sailing, but as far as the first time out on the road, and I know there weren't any fans really in the building, so wasn't a loud environment. That can change things too.
Oh yeah.
We'll see how he progresses, but I feel pretty good about that. And if they can find a 6th round guy out of Old Dominion and move him up from the practice squad, and he starts making plays, that might inject something into this wide receiving group a little bit like Greg Ward did last year. And I was on record when I was working with Aidan, because that was during the football season of a year ago, that, Greg Ward needs to play. Enough of this stuff where, he's a practice squad guy. Yeah, let's not worry about it. The guy was making play. He was making plays And that's all you can ask. I don't care where he came from. I don't care what position he played in college. The position he's playing right now, he's making plays.
And that was a heck of a play last night,
Get him the ball.
That was a heck of a catch.
Yeah. And they've seemed to have hit on these like late round guys. Like if John Hightower works out or Quez Watkins, like you mentioned with Milano, like finding these gems, like that could lead to something. And Carson,
Hightower's the guy from Boise, right?
Yeah. They took him in the 5th round, and he got him out of Boise State, like these weird places. Greg Ward played quarterback at Houston, but you know what? Like that's where I'm at. Like I don't care what round you're drafting, and if Arcega-Whiteside's giving you nothing, then put this kid from Old Dominion out there. Who cares?
Exactly.
I'm with you. Just whoever makes plays, put him out there.
And not only that, this Rager kid who has shown a little bit of flash here or there, but now he's not on the field because of a thumb injury. I mean, this better be some freaking amazing thumb injury that he can't get on the field and try to catch a football. I'm not a doctor, but I look at other guys like Justin Jefferson, who was on the board making plays. And how about the kid from San Francisco last night?
Ayuk.
Drafted, 28th maybe in the
25th, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
I believe that play he made.
Yeah, the leaping ability was insane. I was like, what?
Yeah, he was like Ronaldo Nehemiah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a call by Al Michaels on that one.
That was great. I remember that. I remember Ronaldo Nehemiah.
I do not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, wait, who is? I had to like look it up. I was like,
I feel like Google him, didn't you? How do you spell Nehemiah?
Yeah.
That was a halftime YouTube search. I was like, all right, I should probably figure it out because Chris Collinsworth loved it, and I don't really know what's going on.
And
Aidan, how about those guys having to wear masks?
It was terrible.
Because they're in the state of California, which is the state of confusion. Yeah. And it's an absolute joke.
Yeah, I felt very bad especially Al Michaels is 76 years old. He
lives in California.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's now taking bye weeks. He's not doing the whole seat, and now he's got to talk through a mask the whole time. It was they're by themselves. I understand the other things, but I mean, let those guys just talk. And I could hear it too. It was audibly annoying during the game.
Yeah, Collinsworth was muffled with that mask because he's got a very raspy, a voice that kind of cuts through, and it wasn't last night.
It was annoying.
I know. I thought they did a good job considering the circumstances, but I didn't even understand if they were wearing masks for COVID or because of the air quality or just like a combination of both. But it was very noticeable as you're watching it, like you said, even especially with Collinsworth. It was like,
oh, now look at Aidan going air quality here, knowing that there's a fire issue in California. Yeah, look at you. Well, that's a good job out of you.
Temple grad here.
I was going to say Temple Smarts, baby.
There you go.
All right. We're having a good time. But there always comes a point in the show where it gets a little bit hostile because we start arguing and debating, and it is a debate show.
So here's where I'm beat up. I don't think I have anything left in me to debate.
I know. Well, I'm glad this is a perfect show because I finally have a win, and you are stuck with a loss. So this is perfect. So, Harry, I'll let you take my place. I'll be the moderator. I'll let you guys debate, and I'll pose this question, and you guys decide who goes first.
So you're Chris Wallace tonight, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it might be a little bit more civil. I know it's not supposed to be civilized, but even so, it might be more civilized than what we saw.
I'm doing the old. I'm drinking a little bit for you.
There you go. Yeah.
That bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can tell by the layer. Yeah.
I might pose the question, and KMess, you may agree with Harry and just take the Eagles side. We'll see.
Probably.
All right, so it's pretty straightforward today. After the events yesterday, I mean, Cowboys defense looks atrocious, just shit show, and the Eagles win. So based on that outlook going forward, who has the better advantage to win the NFC East?
Harry, you want it or you want me to take it first?
Well, I mean, first of all, the NFC East is an absolute disaster. It's a dumpster fire of a division. All right. I don't know that anybody really wants to win this division. And it's probably going to be one of these 8-8 type years, maybe even in the Eagles case, a 7-8-1 year because they've got the tie. And that tie could be instrumental in getting the championship for the division because a tie is better than a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that game sucked against Cincinnati. They deserved to lose it. But they did get the tie, and that could come into play, as a positive for the Eagles. But thank God for the Eagles that the division sucks. Now, we knew the Giants were going to stink. We knew the Ravens, were changing things over and probably going to stink because they don't have their quarterback. I know there's some people think that Dwayne Haskins might be the guy. I know enough to know that he's not the guy. Okay,
No.
he's the guy that might hang around in the league for a while and be a backup and move from this team and to that team and make some nice checks and so forth, and good for him. But he's not the guy.
Nope.
In Washington. So those two teams are totally out of it. The Giants are an absolute disaster. Their GM stinks, and he's going to get fired. The coach, that choice, I still am trying to figure out what the hell they were doing with that. I think the quarterback's pretty good. They lost the running back, and they're a mess in so many different areas. It's Dallas and Philly. And you saw what Dallas did. If the Atlanta Falcons weren't so freaking stupid and didn't understand the rules of the onside kick, the Dallas Cowboys would be winless at this point and 0-4. And then Jera might have his finger reaching from the glass of Johnny Walker Blue to the eject button on Mike McCarthy. He'd be so pissed off. Okay, so. Thank God that Atlanta is so stupid if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. But right now, I'd rather be the Eagles because I trust their quarterback more. Their quarterback has done more with less and taken a team to the playoffs. He was also on line to be the MVP a few years ago before he got hurt. And I still believe in him.
I don't want to agree with you here. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna bring it out to the schedule here. Yes, that I knew. So you can ask Aidan too. Last week on this podcast and on Branded Sports Radio, which Harry Mays was on week 1. Yesterday, I said bet the farm on the Browns. Browns plus 4.5 was an easy win, and I gave all the reasons why, and every single one of them came true. And I also predicted that the Eagles were going to go to San Francisco and win because that just seemed like it's just what the Eagles do.
NFL games.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Yes. Yeah. But it was going to happen. The Cowboys never win those games, but it just seems that I don't even want to say the Eagles win those type of games, but Carson Wentz wins those type of games sometimes. And he did last night, but you can enjoy the first place for, 4 days or so, but now you got to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
a loss, dog. Give him a loss, dog.
Give him a loss. And then you got to come home for the Ravens.
Ben Roethlisberger off a bye week. Forget it, Mike.
It's over. So I'm saying you guys are dropping those two.
Right.
I mean, then you got the Giants and then the Cowboys. But then you have the second gauntlet of the season, right? Where you have home against Seattle, at the Packers, home against New Orleans, at Arizona, at Dallas.
Yeah.
So Dallas's schedule isn't much better. Obviously, we got to play some of the same teams, but it doesn't seem as daunting. We have the Steelers at home, then they got to go play the Vikings, and they do have to go to the Ravens and to the Bengals. They stink. Yeah.
All right. Now you got the Steelers at home. You got some of these other teams at home, but we realize this home field is not what it was.
Nope.
Because you've got a couple of fans in there, but it's not like going down there and having 100,000 raving Cowboy fans.
No.
Right.
And that stadium, it seems like Jerry messed up making that stadium because he turned it into a show attraction rather than a football stadium. And that's the stadium every now Vegas is going to be like that.
Yeah. Fan wants to go to, right?
Vegas is going to be like that. LA is going to be like that. So they never have that home feel. It's not like going to the link. It's a completely different ballgame. So I think the schedule may be on Dallas's side. However,
I would agree with that.
I think that tie is going to come back to haunt the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And isn't this what happened last time the Eagles tied? Didn't they win the division because of the tie?
That was the year that Donovan tied in Cincinnati when he didn't realize that overtime was what it was.
Against Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Was it Ryan Fitzpatrick? It was either him or like a John Kittner or one of those kind of guys. I forget if they won the division.
I think they won the division that year, and I think it came down to that.
I think they came back. It might have been the year that we were the wild card, because I remember then we played the Ravens and Donovan got benched for Kevin Cobb.
Oh yeah.
during that game.
Yes.
It was that year, I'm pretty sure. But then after that, he played well. So I guess that
He
worked
got
out.
benched at halftime, didn't he? And
Yeah.
and Andy had some other coach go tell Donovan that he was being benched, I believe.
And it was just awkward watching him on the sidelines. And then Cobb throws the pick six in the end zone that goes 100 yards the other way in the second half.
And that week in Cincinnati that they ended up tying, I think there was like 35-mile-an-hour winds the
Yep.
entire game, and Andy threw the ball 60 times.
Yeah, that's what it was. And that was back. It was 15-minute overtimes too, and I think that score was even lower. It was like 13-13.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah,
they played 5 quarters. It was ridiculous. I agree with Harry, obviously, because I still believe in Carson Wentz. I'm like in the 99th percentile.
It's going to come down to the 2 times the teams play.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel like that's what's going to be it. And I keep saying this, they play in Philly early this year, and then they're going down to Dallas later in the year. And Jerry's going to have 50 to 75,000 fans by then. There's going to be no fans in Philly. And if Dallas wins that game, we're never going to hear the end of it. But actually, it'll probably be a lot of Philly fans.
But let's also assume, or maybe we can't assume at this point, but let's project that maybe the Eagles are a hell of a lot healthier a football team as the season goes on. I mean, as far as some of these, wide receivers and guys to help Carson out. So.
Yeah, it's 2020. This division stinks. I don't think we can even actually know what the hell we're talking about.
No,
we're gonna debate this every week, and it will be the end of the year, and we'll both be
one of us will be right.
7-1, and you'll be 7-8, and we'll be debating away. Who do you think is gonna win the NFC East?
we keep joking too. We're like, we kind of need these teams to start winning for this podcast, because who's gonna listen to a podcast when teams are like 4-10 going into God.
That's what I texted Kevin last week. I was like, yeah, this is funny that I keep exploding and I'm angry, but after like week 6 of this, it's gonna be white noise. Like, here's the same old shtick. This guy's mad about the Eagles.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I did many a year of sports radio in Philadelphia where 1 or 2 or 3 of the teams were absolutely disastrous. After the first couple of weeks, and you're like, what do we got here?
Yeah, true.
A complain-a-thon.
Yep, that's all it is. Well, something I feel like you can both be excited for is Temple football coming back. Aidan?
Yes. Yeah. I would be
point favorite, right, against Navy?
We are. Yeah. We'll get into it because Navy's weird. I feel like
they are weird.
They're very weird. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a few questions while having you on the podcast. We actually met one time before. You probably don't remember it. It was at a bar bathroom in Boca Raton at the Boca Raton.
The bowl?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I don't remember. I don't remember.
For multiple reasons.
I usually try to black out any men that I meet in bathrooms.
Yeah.
I never met you. I don't remember you. And it's nice meeting you for the first time.
You're just trying to take a piss. This
is the official meeting. It was very funny. I just remember going back to the table. I was like, yeah, I was pretty drunk. I was just talking to Harry Mays in the bathroom. My friends were like, what are you doing?
Let the man have his drink.
Yeah, exactly. Let him piss and pee.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't me. Somebody else was there, and like everyone just started talking, and like we just were all having this conversation, just drunk off our ass in the bathroom talking about Temple football. And I was like, I'm just talking to Harry Mays and these other guys.
That's how it happens.
I wish I could be
KMess.
I wish I could be in a bathroom with Harry Mays and then all of a sudden just hear, "What up, Mays?" out of nowhere.
Oh, dude.
Can you imagine? Unbelievable. Oh, God.
It's nice to officially soberly meet you.
Yeah, there you go.
Pleasure.
All right. Well, I told Kevin, I was like, if we're going to have him on the show, I'd like it to be going into the Temple season and going into the year. Like, we have our quarterback coming back. It's always important in college having your quarterback returning.
Yep,
but I think it's even more so important in a pandemic season like this. So do you think that gives us an upper edge, or do you think at this point, like Anthony Russo, like we know what we have? Which do you lean?
I think he's got all the raw skills, and I've heard that, he's finally really picked up the offense. You got to understand, I mean, this guy's had several different coaches, several different coordinators. He's had a lot of tumult around him, it being positive because they were those coaches were winning games and they were moving on to other places. but it's kind of a tough thing for a kid to adjust to. So now he's got a little bit of stability, going into his final year. So I'm looking forward to that. He's got to be more accurate. He hasn't been a very accurate thrower of the football, even though he can make a lot of the throws. He's got some good weapons at his disposal. The offensive line, they lost Hennessy and they lost a couple of other guys on that offensive line. That it's going to be interesting to see how they can piece that together, because despite picking up the offense, if he doesn't have time to throw, it's not really going to matter much. So that's going to be a question. Their defense, they've got a couple of guys returning on that defensive front that I really like a lot, that are at the defensive tackle spot, but they lost a lot around those guys. A lot of their defensive ends and linebackers, were all seniors and all really good players. A lot of them are playing in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So there's going to be an interesting, transition there to see, how the younger guys, those freshmen and sophomores that were there under the previous regime move up and, move forward with Coach Carey. Defensive back wise, they always seem to have one or two really good corners or safeties that they're able to keep it together on the back end. So if they can get pressure, with their front seven guys, I like their defense. But yeah, Russo, this to me is all about Russo. He's got a great running back. Ramon Davis is a star. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that right now. He's a star. He's going to play in the NFL barring injury. And so feed him as much as you possibly can and throw the ball deep.
I think like you mentioned, with stability, not only with the coach, but at the skill positions. Jaden Blue back, correct? Brandon Mack as well. So and two guys yards after the catch.
Cheltenham's Brandon Mack.
Oh yeah, Cheltenham. He's great. I love him. Like he's big, like physical, like he's everything that the Eagles wanted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to be, where he's a big target you could put him on, and it's hard to tackle him after he catches it. So I'm really excited for that. And it starts this week against Navy. So like you said, 2-point favorites. How do you feel about the game? Because you probably remember a few years ago, we opened the season against Army, the triple option team.
They lost.
Everyone was excited and lost handily. Navy this year, like they didn't tackle, and
they got crushed.
They got
crushed. They didn't even look like a football team.
No,
that was a disaster. Yeah, that was.
Because Kenny Niumatalolo usually has his guys ready
buttoned up.
They're a team that doesn't beat themselves. They don't make mistakes. They don't turn the football over. They control the clock. That's how they stay in games against teams like Notre Dame and some of the other bigger teams that they play on their schedule. So I was really blown away by the way they looked against BYU. And then they come back against Tulane. Tulane is a much improved football team. They are not your grandfather's Tulane. They're pretty good. They got a good coach and good system there. Tulane had, I think, a 24-7 lead on them at one point in the third quarter, and Navy comes back and wins the football game.
And that's not what Navy's usually known for.
Exactly. They get behind, they're dead in the water.
It's pretty much over. Yeah.
Right.
Like so.
That'd be a good one.
But yeah, I was going to say, I feel pretty good. It's just the Navy every year, but this year it seems pretty helter skelter. So we'll see. But I'm just excited that we have football. Like we watch football, because for a long time it was up in the air. Like I don't know if this is going to happen.
I know, and it's been disjointed thus far, the college football season. I mean, you guys are as big a fans as I am, and I know you're watching College Game Day and stuff. It's not the same.
No.
And I know it's never going to be the same until that we get back to some sort of normalcy. But I don't. I want to feel it like I used to.
Me too.
And I don't.
I know. I there hasn't been a Saturday yet where I've just been home watching college football like I usually am. And like usually I do not miss the Saturday night games like those and I haven't, again, also because I like going to a bar and watching those games and the atmosphere, and there's none of it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Atmosphere. I think that's the big word.
It is.
And I think that's what we're all kind of missing in sports right now is the atmosphere. It's like you get the sports, you get the athletes, you get the great play, like some of the NBA. I've really enjoyed the NBA and the NHL playoffs. I know some people want to knock on either one of those sports, and have at it. I enjoy both of them, but there wasn't the atmosphere, and that that's the thing that you can't replicate that with fake crowd noise.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They showed during the Yankees postseason game the other night against Cleveland. They showed that home run that Cleveland hit a couple years ago against Girardi and the Yankees. It was a grand slam to take the lead, and they just like the announcers were like, "Oh my God, look at the crowd!" Like it's like we almost forgot. And they're like, "Look at how crazy they were," and just like how I immediately got it back. I'm like, I need that. It's like a drug.
Yeah, they're probably like waving towels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I-
awesome.
And I can't even imagine what Game 7 against the Islanders would have been like this year if we would have had fans in Wells Fargo. That place would have been shaking. I know the outcome, but who knows if that's the outcome if we play that in front of a packed Wells Fargo Center.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think college football is definitely missing the fan atmosphere the most, but at least I think we'll get a little bit more used to it. Like we have the SEC back, AAC coming back, so we have our team to watch, and then Big Ten starting here soon. So I think we're at least getting back on the swing of things a little bit.
We are. Look at this. It's an Eagles versus Cowboys podcast, and we've talked Temple football. We talked a little Jimmy Butler. We talked some hockey. We talked base. We got everything. So I'm not going to let Harry get out of here without talking to us a little bit about Swing It and Ding It, because besides this podcast, it's my new most favorite podcast because I need as much help with my golf game as possible, and this is where you can find out the help.
I appreciate the kind words, Kevin. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's sponsored by DraftKings. It's available on all the iHeart platforms, and I've just been told that iTunes and everything else, all the other places are going to pick it up too. So
Awesome.
It'll be available everywhere very, very soon. So it's pretty exciting. And, we talk about, the PGA Tour. There's not a lot of places out there that you can really get any talk on that outside of the Golf Channel or something. So it's a podcast that's kind of unique that way, where we look at, the week that was, and, we look at our bets, because a lot of it is based on, our gambling and so forth, with either DFS or outright, wagering on winning the game, winning, or top 20, top 10, top 5, that kind of thing. So we cover all that. And then we have Brian Quinn, who's the head coach of Temple Golf team, and also part of the, ownership group at the 1912 Club. And he comes on each and every week and offers his insight into what we're talking about with the tour, and then gives a really good tip each and every week. And then sometimes we'll incorporate some other guests, like we had Jamie Slonis, who is a regional director from the Aligo Club, which is a place where you could join, where if you're able to join it, if they allow you in, and it's nominal fee, it's not like it's super expensive, but if you're in, you get access to all the great golf clubs, in the Northeast of the United States. You can go down to Florida. You can go to Europe, and play in Scotland on some of the finest golf courses, courtesy of Aligo. So there's certain things that, we'll do and incorporate. It's all for people that really dig golf. That's really what it's all about.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I've used some of those tips. Probably not so well sometimes, but I'm trying.
Keep working on it, man.
But I'm trying. That's all that matters. Harry, that was awesome. Thank you for coming by again. Like we said, thank you for being on the brand new train from the beginning. And I think as the season progresses, maybe we'll get you on during Hate Week too. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate it.
Aidan, KMess, great time.
Harry Mays, TU on Twitter. Go find him. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
Again, a huge thank you to Harry Mays for that phenomenal interview. Aidan, I had a blast. That was so much fun talking with Harry.
It was like, we can't go to bars right now. You and I and him hanging out and cutting up and drinking during that interview is the closest thing we can get to a bar right now. And it was pretty solid analysis on top of that. So it was everything you could have hoped for with an interview with Harry. We hope to have him back on. And here's to another week. We got another interview coming up on our show, previewing week 5. Wow.
Yes.
Pretty remarkable.
Next episode, we are going to have Jeff Kavanaugh on from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. Hilarious guy. One of the best analytical guys out there. Big draft guy. So, Aidan, if you have any draft questions for next season, I mean, I guarantee he's already watching tape on these guys. So get ready for that. We're definitely going to dissect this Dallas Cowboys. And now for the first time, Aidan can debate with someone else rather than me doing it against these Philly media guys. So you're going to want to check that. Make sure you're following us at Burdzzzz Boys Pod on Twitter. Tell your friends, tell your family, go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to Google Pods. Make sure you're watching us on YouTube. Check out all of the awesome clips, that producer Vince puts out. They're hilarious. And yeah, just tell everybody that this is the best football podcast out there. Till next time, Aidan's smoking his cigar. He's first place. I'm in suck place. And we will catch you next time on Birds vs. Boys. KMess and Aidan. Peace.